All right, so we got a request for a deep dive here. And looks like someone sent us this YouTube video.
Okay.
It's called The Gorge 2025 Ending Explained. And it's from the Foundflix channel.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and basically it seems like someone is intrigued by this Apple TV original movie, The Gorge.
Right.
But maybe they're not ready to commit to like watching the whole thing.
And, well, I get that.
They want to get like the gist of the mysteries and especially that ending, but without having to sit through a whole, plot somehow.
A shortcut to comprehension.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're going to do today.
Sounds good to me.
We're going to break it down and extract those nuggets for you.
All right, let's get into it.
So the video starts out and the host kind of points out right away that the film seems to have a bit of an identity crisis.
An identity crisis, huh?
Yeah, like it's trying to be a romance and sci-fi and horror and action all at the same time.
Whoa, that's a lot to juggle.
Yeah, it is. And apparently like the romance part is a big focus, especially in the first hour.
Really, for a movie called The Gorge? That's interesting.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
But then the second half kicks in with more action and some cool visuals.
Okay, so it picks up the pace a bit.
It does. But the host still thinks it feels kind of disjointed, Like
they couldn't quite make all those elements work together.
Exactly. And then there's the big question.
Which is?
What exactly is in the gorge?
Right, because the title kind of implies something mysterious and dangerous is down there.
Yeah, for sure. And the video promises to explain all that and how it all ends, so.
Right, so our mission is to distill those crucial pieces of info.
Exactly. So let's start with the setup.
Okay.
We get introduced to these two highly skilled assassins.
And A2 assassins.
And they seem to be working on opposite sides of things.
Opposing sides. Oh, this is already getting good.
I know, right? So first up, we meet Draw. Yeah, and she's shown taking out this target after like a whole week of surveillance.
Wow, she's patient.
Yeah, super patient and efficient. Like she just waits for the perfect moment.
That definitely sets her up as a pro.
Yeah.
Dedicated to the mission.
Absolutely. And we meet Levi and he's like the total opposite.
Yeah, opposite. How so?
Well, he's shown being all burnt out and haunted by his past kills.
So he's struggling with the moral implications of his work.
Yeah, exactly. He can't sleep. He's full of regret. He's even writing poetry on the beach.
Poetry on the beach? Huh. That's not what I pictured an assassin doing.
Right. Then this shady figure named Bartholomew approaches him with a new mission.
Bartholomew. Okay, so now we're getting into the mystery.
Yeah, and Bartholomew asks Levi about his personal connections or lack thereof.
Like, is he close to anyone? Does he have family?
Exactly, and she implies that's why he was chosen for this mission.
Interesting. So maybe they want someone who's expendable.
It seems that way. And even Levi himself admits his life lacks purpose.
So maybe this mission is a chance for him to find that purpose, or at least that's what he thinks.
Yeah, maybe. But let's see how that plays out, because meanwhile, we cut to Lithuania, where Dra is visiting her terminally ill father.
Her father. Okay, so she does have some personal connections.
Yeah, and they have this unusual ritual where she gives him her spent bullet casings.
Spent bullet casings? Why would she do that?
Well, he takes them from her, and it's like he's taking her shame away,
Wow, that's heavy. So he knows what she does for a living.
He does. And he's decided to end his life on Valentine's Day.
On Valentine's Day? Why that specific date?
It's not really explained, but he tells her to look for the wolf constellation and light a candle.
Okay, that's kind of cryptic.
It is, and it's all very emotional, especially because her new mission is going to last a whole year.
So she's going to be away when he passes.
Exactly. So back to Levi, his mission starts super abruptly and kind of creepily.
Creepily how?
Well, he wakes up on a helicopter already hooked up to an IV.
Whoa, they just snatched him up.
Yeah, and then he goes through this biometric identification, and they take away all his belongings.
No phone, no wallet, nothing.
Nothing. He tries to ask about the mission, where they're going, what he's supposed to do, but they tell him absolutely nothing.
Total secrecy, huh?
Yeah, and then they just drop him out of the helicopter with a parachute.
Talk about being thrown into the deep end.
Right. And he has to continue on foot to his destination.
So they're really emphasizing this sense of mystery and danger from the get-go.
Absolutely. And finally, after all that, he reaches the gorge.
Okay, the gorge, finally.
Yeah. And it's described as having these super high walls and a constant mist obscuring the bottom.
So you can't even see what's down there, just the swirling mist.
Exactly. It's already giving off serious creepy vibes.
I bet. And then he meets JD, right? The guy he's replacing.
Yeah. JD fills him in on the basics of the job.
Which is...
Well, it seems pretty straightforward at first, maintaining satellites, auto guns, mines around the perimeter.
Okay, perimeter security standard stuff.
Right. But then there's this weird rule about the sister tower on the east side.
What kind of...
No communication whatsoever. Like they're totally isolated from each other.
That's strange. Why would they do that?
It's not clear yet. And then JD mentions these cloakers that hide the gorge from the outside world.
So they're going to great lengths to keep this place secret.
Yep. And then there's the emergency protocols in case something goes wrong.
Like what?
Well, there's a panic button linked to this vague stray dog protocol.
Stray dog protocol, that sounds ominous.
It does. And then there's the air raid siren.
If that goes off, what are you supposed to do?
Run like hell, apparently.
So it's either press the mysterious button or run for your life.
Basically, yeah. So you can already tell something seriously messed up is going on down there.
Right. The contrast between the routine maintenance and these extreme emergency measures definitely raises some red flags.
Definitely. And then JD drops the bombshell about the gorge's origin.
What's the origin?
It's a secret from the end of World War II.
World War II. Wow, that's going way back.
I know, right? And apparently the former enemies from the East and West, they collaborated to keep this place hidden.
Even from their own people.
Even from presidents and national leaders, supposedly.
Okay, so this is a huge secret. What could be so important that they would do that?
That's the question. And Levi is understandably confused. So he asks what his mission is.
Is it to keep people out?
Nope. Quite the opposite.
The opposite?
Yeah. Their job is to prevent something inside from getting out.
Okay, so now it's a containment situation. We've gone from keeping people out to keeping something in.
Exactly. And then to make things even creepier, JD gives him a hint about what they're dealing with.
How so?
He throws something over the edge of the gorge.
Over the edge into the mist.
Yep, and they hear these guttural groans echoing from below.
Oh, God, that's creepy.
Yeah, JD explains that these are the Hollow Men.
The Hollow Men, where'd they get that name?
Someone coined it years ago, inspired by the T.S. Eliot poem.
The Hollow Men, that's a pretty bleak poem.
It is, and it seems to fit the situation because JD then tells this story about a failed attempt to destroy the gorge back in the 1940s.
Failed attempt? What happened?
They sent in 2,400 men on horseback.
2,400 men, that's a lot of manpower.
Yeah, and not a single one returned.
So whatever's down there, it's powerful, and it's deadly.
Yeah, ever since then, the strategy has been just containment, keep it locked down.
Which makes you wonder, what exactly did they unleash down there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then JD's departure is, well, pretty final.
Final how?
His one-year tour ends. He meets the extraction helicopter, confirms his ID.
Okay. Standard procedure.
Right. And then the person thanking him for his service shoots him dead.
They what?
Yeah, right there on the spot before the helicopter even takes off.
Talk about being silenced. That's brutal.
It is. It really drives home the secrecy and the stakes involved. Yeah.
Right? Like they're willing to do whatever it takes to keep this under wraps, even kill their own people.
Exactly. So then months pass and Levi settles into the routine of maintaining the equipment.
So he's basically just killing time waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, pretty much the video mentions he finds a lot of books, which is good for passing the time.
At least he's got something to read.
Yeah. But then he discovers something much more interesting hidden behind a bookshelf.
What did he find?
Quotes inscribed by previous operatives who were stationed there, going all the way back to 1947.
So it's like a secret logbook of their thoughts and feelings.
Yeah. It's clear these guys were all struggling with the isolation and the strangeness of their duty.
I bet it's heavy knowing you're guarding this thing that no one else even knows about.
Right. And then Levi gets curious about the other tower, the one on the forbidden east side.
The one he's not supposed to communicate with.
Exactly. But he looks over with his binoculars and spots a woman outside.
A woman. Okay. Now things are getting interesting.
I know, right? And he gets this weird feeling like she can sense him watching her.
Even across that distance?
Yeah, it's like an instant connection or something.
That's kind of romantic in a creepy, isolated way.
Yeah, you could say that. So later he's startled awake and he finds himself drawn back to the binoculars.
Can't stay away.
Nope. And this time it's November and she's the one observing him.
So now she's curious about him.
Yeah. And it turns out it's her birthday.
A birthday in this desolate place. That's got to be rough.
Yeah. But then she does something pretty bold.
What does she do?
She writes him a note.
A note? How does she even get it to him?
It's not explained, but she manages to get it across and he finds it.
I bet he's hesitant at first, because of the strict rules.
He is, but he can't resist. And they end up sharing a toast for her birthday.
So they're breaking the rules already.
Yeah, and they quickly become friends, and the video points out this weird detail.
What detail?
She somehow has a 7-inch vinyl record of Blitzkrieg Bop by the Ramones.
Wait, the Ramones in this top secret post-World War II facility?
Yeah, it's super random and anachronistic.
Maybe it's a hint that the filmmakers aren't taking things too seriously.
Could be. So they're hanging out listening to the Ramones and even having a shooting competition.
Sounds like fun.
It does, but then things take a dark turn.
What happens?
They spot something moving down in the gorge.
Oh no, here we go.
Yeah, they see these humanoid figures, but they're all twisted and fused with tree branches.
The Hollow Men.
Yep. They start climbing out, and Levi and Jor open fire.
What about the autogun, the security system?
Yeah, the video host points that out too. Like, why didn't they activate earlier?
Seems like a plot hole.
It does. But anyway, they hit a mine, which causes a huge explosion.
Okay, so that takes care of some of them.
Yeah, and then Draw takes control of the sentry gun and wipes out the rest.
So they survive their first encounter.
They do. And the next day, Draw sends Levi a note saying, "Best birthday ever."
A little dark humor after all that chaos.
Yeah, and Levi starts repairing the damaged systems, but then another weird thing happens.
What now?
A drone appears out of nowhere.
A drone? Whose drone?
They have no idea. It flies around, disables the autoguns for a minute, and then just disappears.
That's creepy, like someone is watching them.
Yeah, it definitely adds another layer of mystery to the whole thing.
For sure. So despite all this, their relationship keeps developing.
It does.
Yeah.
And they have access to homemade vodka, apparently.
Homemade vodka? Where are they getting that?
No idea. The video host thought it was weird, too.
I bet, but hey, at least they're having fun, right?
Yeah, they even make a makeshift Christmas tree out of scraps.
That's kind of sweet.
It is. And from this point on, their relationship becomes super close.
Like maybe even too close, considering their situation.
Yeah, the video host questions whether it's believable, given the danger they're in.
I can see that it does seem like things are moving pretty fast.
Yeah, and then things get really bizarre.
Bizarre how?
There are scenes where they're doing things that directly reference the actor's other roles.
Like what?
Well, Draw is shown playing chess.
Okay. That's not too weird.
Right, but then they have a drum off with pots and pans.
A drum off with pots and pans.
Yeah, it's super goofy and out of place.
Sounds like the filmmakers are just having fun at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird tonal shift.
So what happens next?
Well, fast forward to February, and they're clearly a couple now.
So they've totally fallen for each other.
Yeah, and they're exchanging lovey-dovey gestures across the gorge.
Still ignoring the no contact rule, I see.
Yep. Then on Valentine's Day, Draw sends Levi another note.
She's thinking of her father.
Yeah, probably. And Levi comes up with this crazy plan.
What kind of plan?
He's going to use a rocket to launch a line across the gorge so he can get to her tower.
A rocket? That seems a little over the top.
It does, but somehow it works perfectly and he zips over there.
So they finally meet face to face.
Yeah. And the video host points out that the film gets kind of awkward at this point.
Awkward how?
Well, Draw's accent is all over the place and their flirting is pretty cringy.
Ouch. That's got to be hard to watch.
It is.
Yeah.
But they do have a conversation about the gorge and their different perspectives on it.
Like what?
Well, Draw mentions her father's belief that sometimes it's better not to know what's down there.
Ignorance is bliss.
Right. But Levi disagrees. He's haunted by his past and he wants to understand the truth.
So they have different motivations for being there.
Exactly. Then they have the slow dance.
A slow dance, really. In this place.
Yeah. And the music is apparently a recent YA record, which the video host finds ridiculous.
Another anachronism, I see.
Yeah, it's super weird. And the dance itself is described as hilariously bad.
So bad, it's good.
You could say that, and of course they end up spending the night together.
The inevitable next step.
Right. So the next morning, they're looking at the stars, and Draw asks Levi what he does when he's sad.
He probably doesn't want to talk about his assassin days.
No, he says he reads poetry.
Poetry? Huh, that's unexpected.
Yeah, and he even admits that he writes it himself and then started a poem about her.
Ah, that's kind of sweet.
It is, and then he heads back to his tower, leaving her side completely unguarded.
Wait, what? That's a major security breach.
Yeah, the video host was not happy about that.
I bet. And of course, this would be the worst possible time for something to go wrong.
And it does. Some of those mutated hollow men start climbing up the side of the gorge.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and they trigger a mine, which causes an explosion that severs Levi's zip line.
So he falls into the gorge?
She does. And Draw, without hesitation, jumps right in after him.
Wow, she doesn't even think twice about it.
Nope. And the video host just goes, must have been some good porking.
Oh, my God.
I know, right? So this is where the film takes a hard turn into, like, movie number 3 territory.
Movie number 3.
Yeah, like it becomes a completely different genre.
How so?
Well, instead of being in the towers, they're now down in the gorge itself, and it's like a whole other world.
Like a fantasy world or something?